Before the My Little Pony fandom became what it is today, there were lots and lots of inside jokes and memes that laid out the foundation of what we would eventually become. And in this new series, I hope to take you on a trip down memory lane and look through the fandom's golden age. And at the end, we'll look back at the show and see if any pieces from the fandom have been acknowledged by canon. Starting off with the story of this humble pony. What do you even call this pony? Apparently, her name was actually originally Incidental Unicorn number 2. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? However, thanks to her cutie mark being the instrument Lyre, fans were quick to nickname her Lyra. Unfortunately, people who called this pony Lyra came to a crossroads when the official toy of her came out and her card listed her name as Heartstrings instead of Lyra. The fanbase considered whether Lyra should be renamed to Heartstrings or have Heartstrings somehow be incorporated with Lyra. This led to a few potential solutions being put forward, such as the idea that the names of the toys aren't actually relevant to the show names, and that this card should be discarded. I mean, discarded, more like discorded, because I'm in a Discord server and you should totally join. Link in the description. Anyways, on a side note, I totally see a real resemblance between the show design and this card design. How can you say that this isn't canon? I mean, back to the name thing, what the fandom settled with was to take both of these names and call her Lyra Heartstrings, which was eventually made canon by the toy. I guess this isn't really much of a shocker because that's what we all know her by nowadays. Anyways, at least now you know how her name came to be. Other than that, some fans jokingly called her Incidental Unicorn number 2 or Fred because both were put forward by Nayuki, a layout artist who worked on the show, with the name Fred being brought up as Nayuki's response to the fandom's disappointment that Lyra's card read Heartstrings rather than Lyra. How would the fanbase react if we suddenly named her Fred in the show? Would we get the same backlash as the Heartstrings toy? I'm not exactly sure what his main point there was, but let's talk about this Nayuki guy for a second. I don't think the actual identity of Nayuki was ever revealed, and he seemed to have deleted all of his forum posts, which makes it kind of hard to verify all this information. The My Little Pony wiki still cites him as a reliable source, so we'll just go with it for now. Judging from archives of his posts on the Allsparks forums, Nayuki is actually the person responsible for using Lyra for background gigs, such as jumping excitedly, drinking from a cup, and sitting like this on a bench. And because of this one instance of Lyra sitting like a human becoming a meme, the theory that Lyra wants to become, or is at least interested in human beings, came to be. In fact, deleted account 2 made a post asking, "Hello, I've just found out that Lyra is a real character. This whole time I thought of her as a fan-created character. Anyways, what is there to like about us humans? How would she even gather information about us humans when there has never been a human in Equestria?" Which is actually a really good question. There's a theory that Equestria is actually a post-apocalyptic Earth after humans were wiped out, which I'll probably be making a future video about because that sounds awesome. But anyways, that didn't seem to stop a person going by the name Jason the Human from writing this 31 chapter fanfiction called Anthropology, where the synopsis reads, "Humans, truth or myth? Ancient lost civilization or just an old pony's tale? No pony has ever seen one, and most haven't even heard of them, but Lyra knows that these wonderful creatures are more than just old legends, and she's going to find out, and possibly drive her roommate insane in the process." You know, I did some calculations and apparently the whole thing would take approximately 16 hours to read, though the best thing to come from this is how it spawned a fan song that won't get out of my head.
Human beings fascinate me, being just the way they are. Tell me, little pony, can you push a cart or drive a car?
Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. And no, I'm not talking about your mother. Bonbon, or Sweetie Drops. Why are these two always seen together? Well, Nayuki, the layout artist, elaborated that the Lyra Bonbon pairing, I'd say, is mostly coincidental. When setting up a crowd scene, I tend to place ponies next to each other based on their colors as well as the colors of the surroundings. You want the colors to complement each other, but also not draw attention away from the focus of the scene. Despite that answer, that didn't stop the fandom from pairing these two up together, with the idea that they're a couple in mind, which was mostly stemmed from the fact that they appeared to be on a lunch date together in the episode Swarm of the Century. Anyways, even though they have roughly equal screen time, Lyra is still considered to be the more popular of the duo since Bonbon doesn't really have too much fan works with her on her own without Lyra, which isn't too surprising since if you look at these two side by side, one definitely sticks out more due to eye-catching colors. To prove my point, let's look up the Google image searches for Lyra versus the Google image searches for Bonbon. Do you spot a pattern here? I mean, let's list off all the interesting things we know about these two, starting off with Lyra. 1. She sits like a human. 2. She presumably plays a liar. 3. She drinks coke. 4. She cries after her pie gets demolished. 5. She was literally a bridesmaid of none other than Princess Cadence herself. That is a cool character. Now what do we know about Bonbon? 1. She presumably likes candy. 2. 3. She's a secret spy. That's a good one. 4. She didn't put those in her bag. You see what I'm saying? I mean, not to say that I don't like Bonbon, it's just I find it really weird how the fandom kind of neglected to give her any special characteristics while giving Lyra all the spotlight, even though the two characters are very intertwined together. Despite that though, these two are pretty inseparable, which is also backed up by the fact that the episode Call of the Cutie introduced a bunch of new fillies, and because Lyra was seen at Diamond Tiara's quinceañera for some reason, some of these foals were interpreted to be Lyra and Bonbon's child. The particular pony that stuck around for that theory the most was Liza? Dulots? Whatever. More well known by her fan-given name, Tootsie Flute. Yeah, I'll just stick with Tootsie Flute for now. Fan art and fanfiction depicting the three as a family started being made, such as "And Tootsie Flute makes three." But all this does really is make scenes where Tootsie Flute is alone with a different adult pony look really odd. Then again, she was also seen in Starlight's Village for some reason, so she's just likely a stock character. Anyways, another filly theorized to belong to Lyra and Bonbon was none other than Sweetie Belle. You're probably confused as to why that kind of connection would be made, but I think it's because Sweetie Belle has a curly bi-colored mane like Bonbon, and she's also a unicorn like Lyra. So I guess if you break it down like that, you can kind of see where they're coming from. Though this particular piece of fanon was never widely accepted, which is good because I can only imagine the disappointment of those who wholeheartedly accepted this as canon when it was revealed that Sweetie Belle is Rarity's sister. Actually, lucky for us, we don't have to imagine it, since there were some people making fan art of their disappointment of the fact. Hey Sweetie Belle, wanna go to the park?
I'm sorry, Tootsie, but I'm going to spend the day with Rarity. You know, sisters only thing.
Oh, that's cool. Can I come too? We're sisters after all.
Well, we're not really blood-related sisters, and,
That's okay. I mean, I didn't really want to go.
Goodbye, Tootsie.
Bye, Seats. Have fun. Shifting gears a bit, I wanted to mention how Lyra's pretty much everywhere in the show to the point of it looking like there's clones of her. Plus, we all know that she's a unicorn, but sometimes she's seen as an earth pony, and sometimes as a Pegasus, dubbed Skyra, and even an alicorn. All this really means is that when they designed Lyra, she wasn't really meant to be this big character who she eventually became. I mean, she literally shares the same design as Amethyst Star, Diamond Mint, and Lemony Gem. You could say that this is an example of the show designers being lazy and reusing models, but I'd like to look at the more positive side of this and bring up how it's kind of cool how everything I mentioned so far was attached to this random background character without it being mentioned by the show. Though, that makes you wonder, how much of this fandom stuff did the show actually acknowledge? Well, the show officially adopted the name Lyra Heartstrings for the show, so that's a good start.
It's a rock shaped like Lyra Heartstrings! Total rock!
Lyra and Bonbon always hang out together stopped being a coincidence based on aesthetic features, but was rather acknowledged by the show numerous times, and the Lyra Bond ship was also canonized in season 9 when it's seen that they get married, which is like 2 for 4, so that's not that bad, especially for the first entry in the series. Actually, I guess she appears in Equestria Girl, so her being human kind of, yeah, I'll count that as 0.5. Only time shall tell whether all these other fandom adopted characters will also have half their headcanons actually be canonized. Make sure to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this style of video, and perhaps leave a suggestion on what other pony or ponies you'd like us to delve into next. And I apologize for there being such a long wait between uploads, but I feel like if you guys are a fan of this kind of new series thing, I can definitely get videos out way faster. It's just that life gets in the way sometimes, and I feel like this would be a pretty streamlined format to work on during busier times of my life. And also, yes, I'm almost done with the 10k subs special thing, but I think I can squeeze a few more questions in, so if you have any burning questions left for the AMA, feel free to leave them down and I'll probably get to it. And also, if you want to keep in touch with me between uploads, make sure to join that Discord server in the description. And until next time, this has been F- signing out.